In this video, we'll be taking a look at one NFL game happening on January 4th, 2025, and providing you with a free team pick and total pick for this game, so 2 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on this one NFL game after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Baltimore Ravens versus Pittsburgh Steelers. It feels like every season comes down to Baltimore and Pittsburgh trying to knock each other off the same narrow ledge. Year after year, they are both hanging around the top of the American Football Conference North, and somehow they keep smashing into each other when the stakes are highest. Last year, it was the wild card round, where the Ravens ended the Steelers' season. The year before, the showdown came in Week 18, when Pittsburgh grabbed a win that punched their playoff ticket. The same kind of script we saw play out back in 2021 too. So, yeah, this rivalry hits hard, both on the scoreboard and on the body, and everyone who has watched it for any length of time knows that already. The Steelers come into this one licking their wounds after a pretty humbling loss at Cleveland. On paper, falling to a team with the Browns' record looks ugly, almost embarrassing if you just glance at standings. But anyone who has watched enough football knows that a December game by the lake in Cleveland is rarely normal. The dog pound lives in that mix of cold, wind, and weird vibes that can throw even disciplined teams off their rhythm. Pittsburgh's offense never got off the bus in Week 17, managing only 6 points and 291 total yards on 4.5 yards per play. The defense, though, actually held up its end, giving up just 262 yards and 11 first downs. Still, one lonely Browns touchdown turned out to be enough for the home side, which fits the frustrating, grindy pattern of American Football Conference North football in bad weather. Here is the thing: this is the exact kind of spot where their head coach usually digs in. He has stitched together 19 straight winning seasons as the man in charge, which almost sounds fake when you say it out loud. From a betting angle, he is also a different animal as a home underdog. In that role, he has a record of 23-9-3 against the spread, covering at a 66% clip, and those numbers have stuck around long enough that they are not some tiny sample fluke. There is a reason people lean on him when the market tilts against Pittsburgh at home. The problem, and it is a big one, is that the Steelers have to keep playing without DK Metcalf. He is suspended for 2 games after a silly run-in with a fan in Week 16, and that absence clearly mattered in Week 17. Their offense felt thinner, slower, and easier to read without his presence. Honestly, when a passing game is built around a true number 1 wideout and then that guy vanishes, it is like pulling a key support beam out of an old house. Everything might still stand, but every creak feels a little more dangerous. On the more encouraging side, their coach has said he is optimistic that TJ Watt will be back for this game. Having Watt on the field does not just lift their pass rush, it also energizes the entire defense and even the crowd, which matters a lot in a rivalry game where every third down feels like a small storm. On the other sideline, the Ravens looked exactly like the version of themselves that the market has been in love with for most of the season. They rolled into Week 17 missing Lamar Jackson, and it somehow did not matter. Their head coach, reacting to a whole week of people shouting that Derrick Henry needed more touches, finally tilted the game plan heavily in Henry's direction. King Henry answered with a monstrous performance, piling up 216 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on 36 carries. As a team, Baltimore ran for 307 yards, which is the kind of big number you almost have to reread, and that was more than enough to get past a Jordan Loveless Packers squad at Lambeau Field. Cold, hostile venue, backup quarterback, run-heavy script, still a comfortable gap on the ground. That is the image they carry into this matchup. Now, the big cloud here is Jackson himself. Around Baltimore, there are whispers about some tension between him and his head coach. No one outside the building really knows how serious that is, but the talk exists. What is much more concrete is the back issue that kept him out last week. His season has been choppy, with a variety of physical problems throwing off his groove from time to time. He has not consistently looked like the peak version of the former MVP. Pittsburgh understands exactly what Baltimore wants to do after last week: defeat Henry and try to bludgeon their way closer to the postseason. We expect that mindset to force Jackson into a bigger role as a decision maker when the Steelers load up against the run. That is not the offensive formula we are eager to trust right now, especially in a game where their opposing coach usually shines. Stepping back, both teams are sitting on almost identical records this season. Their home and away splits are similar as well, with each side logging 5 wins both at home and on the road. Recent form, though, leans toward the Steelers. Over their last 4 games, they are 3-1 straight up and 3-1 against the spread. The Ravens, in contrast, are 2-3 in their last 5 and just 2-5 against the spread across their last 7. That tells a quiet story about which group has been meeting or exceeding expectations and which one has been priced a bit too richly. With both seasons hanging in the balance and the stadium tilting in favor of the home crowd, the Steelers' catching points feel like the side that carries more value in this spot. We see a Steelers victory as very likely, so getting them at anything above a field goal feels especially appealing. As our first pick for this matchup, the Pittsburgh Steelers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. If we shift our focus from who covers the spread to how the scoreboard might look, the pattern between these two is hard to ignore. Recently, they have met in playoff clinching situations or actual postseason games in 3 of the last 4 seasons. In our heads, those clashes always felt like slugfests where points came at a premium. The numbers back that up. Those 3 games finished with combined totals of 42, 27, and 29 points, and that last one even needed overtime just to get there. When oddsmakers opened the total for this latest chapter of the rivalry at 43, it did not sit there long. It was quickly bet down and slipped under a few of the key ranges that typically separate mid-level totals from the more clearly low or high categories. Broadly speaking, totals from 37 to 41 fall into that lower scoring bucket, while anything above 44 starts to look like a higher scoring contest. So the direction of the movement made perfect sense. Derrick Henry's Week 17 eruption jumps off the page, but that kind of outburst is not exactly the weekly baseline for him or the Ravens' run game this season. Still, after that performance, the Ravens sit back on top of the league as the #1 team in expected points added per rush. They can absolutely punish defenses on the ground. The Steelers are not walking into this blindly, though. They are extremely familiar with how dangerous the Ravens are on the ground because they see them every year, usually in weather that bites your face. In their first meeting this season, a Week 14 contest that Pittsburgh won 27-22, Baltimore still ran for more than 200 yards. Even with that kind of success on the ground, the final total stayed in a range that did not turn the game into a full-blown track meet. A repeat of that run-heavy formula will not automatically mean fireworks on the scoreboard, especially with a Steelers defense that tends to rise in these spots. They rank 12th in opponent rushing yards per game at 111.6, which is quietly solid. On the other side of the ball, the Steelers' offense is almost too simple at times. They lean heavily on DK Metcalf to jumpstart their passing production. With him still serving his suspension, that crutch is not available. He accounts for 28% of Pittsburgh's passing yards, hauling in 850 of their 3,028 air yards, which is a massive chunk of the pie. Without him, chunk plays through the air are less likely, and drives have to string together more modest gains. Instead, like Baltimore, Pittsburgh is likely to build the game plan around the ground attack. Their rushing game has been quietly efficient all season. Kenneth Gainwell, with 527 rushing yards, has seen growing involvement. Jaylen Warren, at 892 rushing yards, has been a major engine for them. Those 2 backs help power a unit that sits 9th in the league in rushing offense according to advanced expected points added metrics. When both offenses are leaning into the run, chewing clock, and shortening the game, possessions shrink and scoring chances typically follow. Weather adds another layer that naturally pulls totals downward. Western Pennsylvania is forecast to sit at a crisp 24 degrees at kickoff, sliding toward the teens as the night goes on. Cold like that makes the ball harder, the hits sharper, and the passing game a bit more challenging. It also nudges play callers toward safer, downhill concepts, even if they had considered being more aggressive. In a rivalry like this, that usually translates to tight formations, heavy contact, and long drives that take time off the clock more often than they produce explosive scoring. It is not hard to picture a game full of punts, field position battles, and red zone stands, all of which lean toward fewer total points. All of that, from the historical totals to the expected run-heavy scripts to the frigid conditions, points us in the same direction. We expect another bruising, lower-scoring entry in this series, not an offensive shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.